University of Wisconsin is trying to argue that paying student athletes is going to destroy their athletic program. I am so tired of the NCAA. I mean, the NCAA has been able to push themselves around for so long. They start off with this discussion, well, we don't really want to pay. I mean, listen, these kids are going to college. A lot of them can barely make ends meet. They're practicing every day. They're bringing in millions, hundreds of millions of dollars to the university. Look at the University of Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, they're making more money than third world countries. The players on the field are making the money for them. Now, here's the problem. The most of those kids playing are never going to make it into the big money.
Right. You have maybe 4 or 5 from that Alabama team.
Exactly.
1 or 2 from every other school.
Exactly. So they're never going to make it into the pros. They're out there with injuries, fighting through injuries. They're fighting a lot of them are actually having to get welfare checks just to live. They're having to get loans to live. But the NCAA created this, well, we really care about the scholar athlete. You know, that it was nonsense. There's some great documentaries that have been done on how corrupt the NCAA is. This is always at the top of the story, isn't it?
Well, it is. And the argument that the University of Wisconsin's chancellor is trying to make here is that, well, we just can't compete with the big money that other schools could offer, so we need to scrap this idea entirely. And the way you fix that is that the money should be coming, if you pay student athletes, from the NCAA, and it should be standard. A quarterback at Alabama is going to make the same as a quarterback at UNC. Make it standard across the board. Don't give anybody a financial advantage to get better players. And I solved your problem right there, University of Wisconsin. Solved.
We're not talking about making these athletes rich.
Right.
They're talking about paying them a stipend that is in addition to the scholarship that they might have. And, you know, I know we're going to get this is going to corrupt athleticism in the university. That is absolutely nonsense, because the answer, as you say, is there's a norm.
Yeah.
It's not, you're not paid more in Alabama than you are at Topeka University. It all works the same way. But the NCAA has used this argument for decades now. And they'll always have some front guy. Who's the front guy here? University of Wisconsin chancellor.
Yeah.
So this is the guy of the day that they're going to use to pitch this idea that, oh, gee whiz.
It'll bankrupt our school. You're making millions every season for every sport, and you can't give these kids out there who, you know, in the case of many of them, they're risking their future out there with concussions, CTE, permanent leg, knee, arm injuries, and they get nothing out of it.
Brain damage.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about brain damage that affects them in later years. NCAA has got to be brought under control. This is the best way to do it, to take some of that power away from it. You know, people watching this, we can't cover all the details of this story, but it's an important story because it starts developing every few years. Yeah. Now it's back out there. We know exactly what they're going to do because they do it every 3 years. Here it is. Gee whiz, we have to really preserve the idea of amateurism. That, you know, the term amateurism, that's the first argument. The second argument, the argument that you talked about, is it's not fair. This university A can't afford to pay what this university B pays. So what? NCAA is the person that's the equalizer. They're the people that are the equalizer. And the problem is that if we start handing out money like that, you're going to have athletes in one sport that aren't going to be paid the same as an athlete in another sport. Well, that's reality. That's how life works.
Yeah. And, you know, that might be unfortunate for athletes there, but if you get something, isn't that better than nothing? You know, and also you can base it on a percentage. You know, if football brings in 50% of the money, you go there. If it's basketball or baseball, as it is at other schools, it goes there.
This finally has to prevail. The NCAA has got to be slapped around.
There's too many smart ways to do it for it to not have already been done.
Correct. North Dakota voters could soon legalize marijuana, but state Republicans are pulling out all their dirty tricks to stop it. You know what? Yeah, I get it's state Republicans. You know who the money is behind state Republicans?
It's always Big Pharma.
The pharma, yeah. Big Pharma. We saw it in Florida. Big Pharma pumped in gazillions of dollars to try to slow everything down. They're doing it state by state because it's really affecting their sales. You know who else is behind it? The alcohol industry.
Yeah.
the alcohol industry is actually taking this position. Oh, this is terrible. We're going to get these people addicted to drugs. Really? Like you haven't addicted them to alcohol for the last 100 years? Pick it up.
What's happening right now in North Dakota is exceptionally disgusting because the Office of Management and Budget there, well, to back it up a second, there's Proposition 3 on the ballot this year would legalize marijuana. The OMB comes out in North Dakota and says, well, hold up, this is going to cost you about $7 million. Are you prepared to pay that? Because when they did their analysis, they didn't consider any of the money they would make off legalizing marijuana and only consider the cost. And they have $2 million allocated, they say, just to going through and expunging criminal records. $2 million to go through a computer program.
Yeah, we're short on time here, but we saw, this is what's so interesting about the story. They did the same thing on medical marijuana there, okay? And they made the same kind of claim. It was going to be $8.7 million. Well, at the end of the day, it was $360,000 was the real cost that was attached to that. It's just the big pharma is feeding them this information. They have lobbyists all over North Dakota selling this stupidity to legislators who most of the time are pretty stupid. I mean, they're pretty easy to sell. But it's always big pharma, always the alcohol industry trying to stop medical marijuana or just the broad use of marijuana. I'm Mike Papantonio with Farron Cousins. You're watching Ring of Fire, and we're going to be right back.